Tonight on Joy News Prime, a petrol tanker has overturned and caught fire at Unyina Nofo in the Ahafo Southwest District of the Ashanti region. 3 people, including a toddler, are feared dead and about 20 houses are burnt. We'll bring you the very latest. Now, some security analysts have expressed surprise at the reappointment of the Director of Operations of the National Security Ministry, found to have misconducted himself along with 3 others in the detention of City News journalist Caleb Kuda.
Surprised with the fact that Ghanaians were not willing, many Ghanaians were not willing to accept the conclusion of the National Security Minister.
The majority leader, however, says there is nothing wrong with it, even though he believes he should be dealt with once he is found culpable after the investigations.
Should continue. And if he's found culpable, the appropriate sanctions, as is established in the system, must be applied.
Massive restructuring and Minerals Commission as part of government's renewed clampdown on illegal mining. Some of the communities impacted by illegal mining, meanwhile, say they are prepared to take the law into their own hands if government abandons the fight. In Business, Securities and Exchange Commission unveils 10-year capital market master plan aimed at diversifying the capital markets and promoting growth of the economy.
1% now. We're hoping to get to 11%. So clearly our work is cut out for us. A lot of education needs to be done to drive this.
My name is Petrol, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Savannah studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to, and also on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. In our very first story, 3 people have died in the tanker explosion at Unyina Nofo in the Ahafo Southwest District of the Ashanti region. The truck driver and his assistant, as well as a toddler living in the community, were reportedly burned to death in the fire, which consumed about 20 homes. Nanayao Jima joins us from the scene of the explosion. Now, Nanayao, tell us exactly what happened in this situation.
So the information I've been gathering from residents is that this tanker we are talking about was driving from Kumasi to Tepa, and it was driving in a top speed. So Unyina Nofo is a small community found along the road. That's the Kumasi Tepa road. That's Mount Council Tepa road, rather. So when this tanker got there, he was negotiating a long curve. The tanker was negotiating a long curve due to the speed that this driver drove. He lost balance and drove into a Ford Transit, which was parked by the roadside. And after it drove into this Ford Transit, the vehicle toppled over into the Unyina Nofo community. It immediately started burning, with the fire spreading through parts of the community. It took the intervention of the Ghana Police Service and also the Ghana National Fire Service to douse the flame, which has so far consumed about 7 homes and rendered a number of people homeless. Before I left Unyina Nofo, 3 children were still yet to be found after they ran into nearby communities and the forest which surrounds this area. Now, what I know is that some men within Unyina Nofo community are now going to the bushes and also the communities around Unyina Nofo to help find these 3 children who went missing.
All right, you indicate that 3 people have died. You mentioned the driver, the driver's assistant, plus a toddler. Do you have an update on that, or is it still the 3?
It's still the 3 so far. What we are learning is that some other people were injured through the inferno, but the report that we are getting from the fire service and the police is that the 3 people were not in critical condition.
So you're saying that the fire has been brought under control because the fire service intervened. Do we know if there are other first responders on the scene?
Israel, can you please repeat your question again?
You indicate that the fire has been brought under control because the fire service was being at the scene. Do we know if there are any other first responders at the scene? NADMO or...
Hello, Israel.
Yes.
So, NADMO has visited the community. Nana Adjuman Pempe, who is the Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, was in the region doing some work at the time the incident happened. So he drove to Unyananufu, where he has arranged for the affected persons to be sheltered in a church in the area. What we know is that the district chief executive is also working to get some mattresses and blankets to help these people pass the night.
All right, thank you very much, Nana Ajima, with that update from Onyina Nofo in the Hafo Ano Southward district of the Ashanti region. There on your screens, you have some of the pictures that we're getting from the scene of the fire, clear destruction out there. The former director of operations at the National Security Ministry, who was found to have misconducted himself in the assault on a city news journalist, is said to have been giving a top job in the Ghana Armed Forces. Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajemeng has been reappointed as commanding officer of the 64 Infantry Regiment shortly after his secondment at the ministry was reversed. The statement from the National Security Ministry had referred the Director of Operations and 3 other operatives who were police officers to the Chief of Defence Staff and the IGP for reassignment after it confirmed that they had misconducted themselves during the detention of Caleb Kuda for filming abandoned state vehicles on its premises. Portions of a statement indicating transfers in the Ghana Armed Forces dated May 21 revealed Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajemeng has been moved from Army Headquarters to 64 Regiment as the commanding officer. My colleague Winston Amwa has been giving further details on the statement.
The Minister of National Security, in a statement on the 20th of May, indicated that some 4 persons, based on their investigations, had confirmed that they didn't act according to the standard operational practices or procedures of the Ministry of National Security. And so these persons whose secondments were from the police service and the military were reversed, and they had to go back to their mother institutions for investigation and action. Now, those were the words of the statement. But if you look at this memo that I have seen from the military, and this is number 29, talks about Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajemeng. Now, he's been moved from Army Headquarters to the 64 Infantry Regiment as their commanding officer. Now, we've done our checks with the military, and based on the checks we have done with the military, it's been confirmed that indeed he has been transferred to the 64 Infantry Regiment as the commanding officer. And it took effect on the 21st of May. That notification was given to them on the 21st of May.
Well, security analysts who have been observing developments have expressed surprise at the move. Dr. Ishmael Norman is currently the president and CEO of the Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies.
This is normally the practice, except if by the time the person returns to his primary employer, the position has been occupied by somebody else. Then a new position or alternate position will be found for that individual. So what is happening is actually quite normal within any organization, whether it's a military organization or civilian organization. We are all very anxious. We don't want to give the Lieutenant Colonel the opportunity to due process, which every Ghanaian is entitled to. Yes, he was a military officer. Yes, National Security had done its own internal investigation and concluded that maybe he erred, and therefore he should go back to his primary organization. But that organization cannot just rely upon what National Security did. They have to give the gentleman the opportunity to also interrogate his accusers. They have to do investigation. to ensure that what national security has done is consistent with the narrative and what the defenses or mitigating circumstances of the Lieutenant Colonel. So I think we are too anxious. We want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, but nobody can do that until we go through the process. And due process is part of our constitutional values. So allow that gentleman to experience his day in court or investigation so that he can defend himself. And if he's found guilty, he will be punished. I was surprised with the fact that Ghanaians were not willing, many Ghanaians were not willing to accept the conclusion of the National Security Minister, the investigation they conducted, even in questioning the integrity of the investigation. That's what surprised me. But going back to his primary employer and being assigned his previous work, it doesn't surprise me one bit, because that is the normal protocol.
Majority Leader Chairman Bonsumiwa says the reappointment of Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajimang as commanding officer of the 64 Infantry Regiment should not stall the investigation into his alleged misconduct while he was in national security. According to the Swami MP, it would be unfair for the Ghana Armed Forces to hold on to his promotion until investigations are done. He however insists Colonel Ajimang should be made to face the full rigors of the law if found guilty.
The armed forces have their own way of promotions. Maybe his promotion is due, and that is why perhaps they have promoted him. I don't know. But it will still not prevent investigation into the matter. And if he is found culpable and he has to be demoted or whatever appropriate sanction that should be meted out to him by the structures, it should be done. But on account of that, if the guilt has not been, the matter has not been thoroughly investigated and something is due him, would you say that let's put a hold to it?
So that's what people are saying, that we should put a hold to whether he's due for promotion or not. Investigate the matter and deal with him accordingly.
I will not pretend to know how they do their own honest. I will not pretend to know that. But I'm just saying that even if that has been done meritoriously, right, in his earlier life, it should not prevent the investigation. It should not stall the investigation. The investigation should continue. And if he's found culpable, the appropriate sanctions, as is established in the system, must be applied.
Now, the Center for Democratic Development Ghana has meanwhile condemned the armed invasion of City FM and the assault of its journalist Caleb Kuda by operatives of the national security. In a statement issued by the CDD, the center described as absurd the suggestion that the journalist using surreptitious means to uncover and expose wrongdoing is unethical and therefore warrants brutal assault. My colleague Ernest Menu joins me with a copy of the statement. So, Ernest, what are the details of the CDD statement? Hello, Ernest, you'd have to unmute.
Yes, Izzy. All right. I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. So you tell us, what are the details of the CDD statement?
So it starts by giving us a background of what had happened at the national security, the subsequent investigation, and then the transfer, and then talks about the latest, which is the repositioning of Lieutenant Colonel Ajimang. So it says that the ministry sought to minimize the misconduct of the operatives, describing the criminal assault against the person of Mr. Kuda as merely inappropriate. This is regrettable as it does not send the right signal or deterrence to officers of the national security. And it also says that the center awaits the speedy conclusion of the National Media Commission's
We do apologize that we seem to have lost Ernest Menu bringing us the details of that statement from CDD. We appear to have Ernest back. So Ernest, we lost you for a bit, so please continue.
And so the CDD is saying that it would like to implore government and the Minister of National Security to see and seize upon this incident as an opportunity to pursue more far-reaching reforms in the
All right, we do apologize. The connection to Ernest Menu hasn't been the greatest ally. We're taking a break here on Join News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin, massive restructuring and minerals commission as part of government's renewed clampdown on illegal mining. Well, some of the communities impacted by illegal mining say they are prepared to take the law into their own hands if government abandons the fight. And then in another development, illegal miners are taking over a concession belonging to an established gold mining firm, Mensing Bibiani Mines, threatening to fight anyone who attempts to remove them.
Bibia no habetimi am free her. Say ansi na be free ase no. Ene mines na nkasa nkire say ase Analyst timo konko ya adwuma. Na se yekohwe na se hono be boa dia na ye be free ase ama mo ho atom.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. Illegal miners have in a rare move taking over one of Mensing Bibiani Mines' most prized possessions, threatening to fight anyone who attempts to remove them. They tell Love News they are laying claim to the rich gold mountain on the back of promises by President Akufo-Addo. He has asked the mining company to lease part of his concession to them for community mining. The illegal miners say they will resist any attempt to move them until the company releases part of its minerals concession to them. The company is asking for immediate government intervention to protect its investments. Love News' Erastus Asayodonko visited the site in our report.
Mensing Gold Bibiani Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of Resolute Mining with a 10% free carried interest by the government. Since assuming ownership in 2014, Resolute's surface and underground drilling search has confirmed a potential for Bibiani to produce 100,000 ounces of gold per year over a 10-year mine life. But even before the company begins work, illegal miners have taken over a core area of its mining lease.
And yes,
this mountain, dubbed Elizabeth Hill by the company, but known to the illegal miners as Kusie Mountain, feeds directly into Mensing Gold's prized gold resources. The area is currently the bedrock of illegal mining, with holes eaten deep into the belly of the earth, siphoning the company's gold deposits.
So the miners have dug pits like this, many of them across this hill. Now this one is very, very deep. In fact, I can see down there. It's quite a long way down there, and they descend just like this one. So we have bars like this moving straight to the ground. And so they descend gradually to the belly of the earth and start digging. And they bring the items up as and when they go.
I'm not going to say, good because if you want 1 billion within 1 week. 1 billion.
These daring young men told our team nothing can move them from their current location.
Before election year, I'm a president bar to Oba me twa company biam Oba no say there be one also yedin kai demonstration. Am yedin say makọ social media mo ati bi nto no say yesu ayesu nyina no baby ni man wate enka na emo wo hye ebo say omo ne man onam ni minister so omo ne man se nkasa no mo mpa baabi mfa mo nkran mfa ye community mining na asundwe mfamla te mo kofa pit bi ma se enko emadwuma pit omo no man se enko emadwuma na say omo dia fele e omo dia koginam eni akoboka be over 5 billion ho no yesu eniska na kakra wo mo se me akoto agu nti am ya ba be general ha de betime nya bi ate ka
aha no de bibia nu ha betime am ya free ha te anse na be free ha se no ene man se na nkasa nkire se ha se Analyst timo konko ya adwuma
Officials of Mensen BBNE Company will not immediately speak to our news team, but in a statement said it has engaged the police, National Investigations Bureau and local authorities to no avail. It wants the government to step in immediately to protect its investment.
So yes, it's an arduous task getting down here. They agree that this is the concession of the BBNE mines, but they must survive, and so they have dug many of these underground wells from where they get their raw materials for processing. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, BBNE, Western North region.
Thank you.
A bit more coming up on the illegal mining fight. First, we know that there's been a massive restructuring at the Minerals Commission. We'll be telling you all about that, and then we're also telling you about the impact of gold mining or illegal mining in some communities that have really indeed been impacted by that. But right now, police intelligence has led to the arrest of one suspect in connection with the murder of one Yao Gorman, a head teacher in Cape Coast, after he returned home from a census training. The suspect is in police custody, assisting with investigations. Richard Konyonyako has more in the following report.
So this is the home of Mr. Yahweh Gorman. He is popularly known as Dr. Sting in Cape Coast. He used to be a radio presenter with ATL-FM, but now a head teacher at Ansapetu, a suburb of Cape Coast. So this is where we are told he drove from and then parked this car here. So he parked this car ready to step out of the car, and then they heard a sound. When they came to check, the damage had already been done. He'd been shot through the window of the car. So you see the broken glasses, you see the blood stains in the car. Now the police are unable to lay any hands on the person who is suspected to have done that, but they are still investigating. They have picked some forensics from the car. The entire household where he lives is traumatized. They cannot come to terms that their neighbor is gone. We are told that yesterday he returned from a census training at the University of Cape Coast only to drive in, and then he got shot through the window of the car, and they saw him dead, and so they had to take him to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital mortuary for preservation. And so that is what we have been told by residents, and the police have been here. They've been conducting their investigation very close to the University of the Cape Coast Sports Stadium, and then close to the School of Medical Sciences hostel. We've got one of the neighbors, the co-tenant here, to interact with. Just tell us what exactly happened. What did you hear? What did you see yesterday?
Oh, yesterday around 7:40, we were all in our rooms, and we just heard a noise, boom. There was a gunshot. People were thinking that it would be a knockout or those things. But when we came out, nobody was about. We heard the noise from his wife shouting, "People, come and help me, come and help me." So when we came out, we saw that man has been shot, and he was in his car. Not moving, nothing was moving. He's gone, dead.
You live with him. I mean, what kind of person is he?
He's very fine, cordial with everyone. The relationship with everyone here is very good. When here is like everybody is when you go up, greeting, normal greeting. How are you? I'm going. I want to. Then this is what you have been going on. No, he has no issue with anybody. How the person was shot. In fact, it didn't happen in town in anywhere, but right there in his house. In fact, that's what everybody is afraid now.
Immediately after the listing, there was nobody. I was the only person in the house. In fact, I took my children to my mommy. So my husband was not in the house. So I called him several times. He didn't pick the call. So, in fact, returning to the room, I thought the person would be in my room. So I started screaming, and I got mad, running around the house. I couldn't. So I went to fell over there.
That's Gifty. Gifty is a co-tenant here in this house. So you see, there's so many cars that are parked here. And so he also came to park his car here, only to be shot in the car. It's left the co-tenants devastated. They are even scared. They do not know what to think anymore. They don't know what to do anymore. So the police have been here. They say that investigations are underway.
Very latest we're learning about the story is that one person has been picked up in connection with the murder, and Richard Kojo-Nyako has the details. Hello, Richard. So tell us under which circumstances this person was picked and who is this person?
Well, so this person is a teacher in the school in which Mr. Yahweh Ifagoman was heading. In fact, he was part of the entourage of the staff who went to condole with the family. And so when they went, they were asked to introduce themselves. And so they did introduce themselves. And then after he introduced himself, one of the family members went to call in the police, and then the police came to pick him. And so he's been with the police since yesterday. He's assisting them with investigation. We are told that there have been some altercation between the deceased and this suspect that has been arrested over the preparation of lesson notes and other things that happen within the teaching circles or the teaching space. And so there were threats, and we are also even told that that matter was settled amicably. And so that is the basis. We are told he has been arrested because he's one of the key people they feel should be held responsible for this. And so the police say that they are widening their nets. They are not only looking at or narrowing the search to this person alone, but they are following other leads that will lead to the arrest of more suspects in connection with this, because this thing was expertly done. This is not a gated compound. It's a compound where a residential facility where workers live. So you could count up to about 15. The cars that I saw there were about 12. So Mr. Ifagoman drove in through the driveway to park. He parked in front of his building or his room. Only it was about stepping out when the gun, they heard the sound of the gun. And so the people initially thought that it was a knockout or a tie that has burst, only for the wife to come out screaming that it was a husband. And so he called for help. They came, they called in the police to assist them. Where the car was parked, there is a wall there. So people were speculating that the person the person just jumped over the wall and then committed the crime, or the person could be hidden in between the vehicles and then committed the act and then ran away. In fact, if you interact with the co-tenants, they said that no traces were left. No one saw the number of people coming in or the person that did it. So the entering of the facility and then the going out of the facility by the person who supposedly did this, they seem not to have a clue. But yesterday when we went there was this CCTV camera installed by the University of Cape Coast. Two of them, about 5 of them, a cluster. So 2 of them were pointing to the direction where this act was committed. And so the one in charge said that you were going to liaise with the police to look at the potentials, things that they could pick from the CCTV camera or the CCTV footage to help them in the investigation. But now it is only the teacher in the school that has been picked.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kojo-Nyako, bringing us that update that you're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin, as I've been indicating all as well, massive restructuring and minerals commission as part of government's renewed clampdown on illegal mining. Some of the communities impacted by illegal mining meanwhile say they're prepared to take the law into their own hands if government abandons their fights. Also, in the bulletin, we have business coming up. Do stay tuned in. Business comes up right after.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Business. The Securities and Exchange Commission has unveiled a 10-year master plan aimed at diversifying the capital market as well as boosting economic growth. The strategic plan is intended to help raise enough capital for key infrastructure projects in order to meet the country's growth agenda. Here's more.
This is the maiden master plan for the capital market since the establishment of the Securities and Exchange Commission many years ago. It is expected to serve as a blueprint for developing the market in Ghana over the next 10 years. Deputy Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission, Paul Abebio, has been highlighting some of the expectations for the master plan, which includes an increase in market capitalization of fund management firms, among others, by more than 50%.
Who are investing? Currently, the participation rate is around 1.7%. To avoid double counting, we didn't count the direct brokerage accounts because the mutual funds will also have exposure to the CSD. So we are at 1.7% now. We're hoping to get to 11%. So clearly our work is cut out for us. A lot of education needs to be done to drive this, some of which we've already started. I've talked about the pillars in brief. Some of the key initiatives we expect to undertake within these pillars. One is a taxation regime. How do we make it attractive? How do we bring products that give advantage? We look at the government bond market. In most markets, the bond market or the government securities are the baseline. How does the regular investor get access to that? And can we accelerate that exposure? Can we allow for digital platforms where people can get access directly?
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has described the launch of the master plan as timely and critical to post-COVID-19 recovery. According to him, this will play a key role in the operations of the soon-to-be-launched National Development Bank.
The Capital Market Master Plan launch and implementation is timely and welcome intervention in Ghana's financial services sector. As you realize, we're also looking to launch the Development Bank of Ghana, support of the World Bank, support of the EIB, Ghana putting its own $200 million into it to begin to bridge this gap and be able to support venture capitals, banks, and other companies that will lead to the facilitation of this. The key issue here is for Development Bank to be able to raise money in the capital markets itself, and therefore the Capital Market Master Plan comes in handy at this time.
The cleanup of the capital market is part of the first phase of the whole master plan implementation.
Now, the Ghana Mine Workers Union is calling for a full-scale investigation into frequent mine accidents. It is also urging the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources and by extension the Minerals Commission and its Inspectorate Division to, as a matter of urgency, conduct a thorough investigation into the recent underground accidents that saw 3 of its members working in the same area get trapped. 2 escaped and 1 is still reportedly missing since last Tuesday. The General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Bana, earlier spoke on the marketplace.
Underground mines where you have a lot of hazards, workers are exposed to a lot of underground hazards, falling rocks. The environment itself looks a bit dark when you are working underground. There's a possibility of a cave-in whilst you walk underground, because you are one level connecting the other. We are calling for a special attention when it comes to underground operations, and so that the frequent supervision by the Inspectorate of Mines and to ensure that employers are complying with what is required of them under the law. Workers are equally complying with what is required of them under the law. It's extremely crucial. It's also important that health and safety becomes a culture. It must be embedded in the DNA of workers and all the actors at the workplace. There are times that a supervisor or a manager would instruct you to go perform one task or the other. But just because the employee feels so gullible under the circumstance, and even in the particular case of Underground Mining Alliance, these are fixed-term contract workers.
Well, I believe that you have threatened to withdraw your services if urgent and robust steps are not taken to prevent these accidents. Who is to blame for this? And if you could help me once again, what has been the correspondence with Anglo Gold Ashanti? What has been the correspondence, and what exactly are they telling you?
Well, who is to blame? Certainly, it is the company on whose premises our member got locked up in this unfortunate situation. And squarely, we put that at the doorstep of Anglo Gold Ashanti. And that is why we're saying that in terms of accountability, ultimate responsibility and accountability lies directly on the doorsteps of Anglo Gold Ashanti. They may be mining with a surrogate company by name Underground Mining Alliance, but ultimate responsibility is theirs.
And that's how we end business for this segment. Sports is up next. To stay.
Many thanks for staying with us here. Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and the former vice president of the Ghana Football Association, George Efrie, says he will fight the decision of the association to reduce Division 1 league clubs from 48 to 18. According to him, a reduction in the number will affect the size of Congress, and that will hand future FA elections to the highest bidder.
Of 48 Division 1 clubs to 18. I am strongly against it. Ask me why. You see, our country is divided in such a way that the 48 stars suits us now. In future, when we have the resources and big money coming in, sponsorship coming in, we will go for the 18 or 20 or 22. I don't have a problem. But currently, as things stand now, it is so difficult to ask a club from Wa to travel to Pandu without any sponsorship. How is the clubs going to run such a football team? It's very, very difficult. And Muftau, you see, FIFA, the old FIFA under Blatter, wanted a smaller number for our congresses. So in Blatter's era, they advocated that the countries must reduce the number of people who vote to choose their leaders and all that. Even in Nigeria, it's 40-something. But me, in Ghana, and I will make a strong case, I will write to FIFA and explain, me in Ghana, I am against it. You know, we shouldn't sit here and pretend. The kind of things that happen in our primaries, be it political, be it whatever, you know it. If you have a smaller number, it is so easy for people to buy all of them. I'm telling you. So me, anything that will reduce the size of Congress, I'm not for it. I am not for it.
Are you suggesting that oftentimes electorates are bought?
Muftau, I am saying that I had a friend who participated in, I won't mention the party, in a recent primaries. And the guy was coming home with 2 TV, one left, one right. Cash, I won't mention it. Here, in Ghana. Don't pretend. We know. So I'm saying that in our election, you know the kind of things that came out that we had. So I'm saying anything that reduces the number, me, George Efrie, and I will write to FIFA and explain why the situation in our part of the world, that I don't go for a smaller number. Because once you go for a smaller number, you have just rendered the election to the highest bidder. I'm being honest and I'm saying it frankly.
The compliance officer of the Ghana Rugby Football Union has urged rebel board members of the union to follow laid-down procedures as prescribed by World and Africa Rugby. There is more in the following report.
Compliance is an audit unit within the Ghana Rugby Football Union with the core mandate of measuring good governance in accordance with global standards. The local rugby governing body is not only obliged to comply with its own internal governing processes, it also has to ensure compliance with international governing standards set out for the game. However, some board members of Ghana Rugby have refused to obey Africa Rugby rules by convening a meeting to suspend Herbert Mensah as Chief Executive Officer and Board Chairman of Ghana Rugby after a 9-point petition by the Ghana Rugby Union Players Association. Of the 4 people who were in the meeting, one of them, Intonyako, is not a board member of Ghana Rugby. The mandate of 2 board members has expired and therefore do not qualify to sit on the Ghana Rugby board. They are Ako Wilson, a representative of the Ghana Rugby Union Players Association Grouper, and Abdul Aziz Issa, president of the Greater Accra Rugby Association GARA. Compliance manager of Ghana Rugby, Sakut Emega Etigo, tells Joy Sports Africa Rugby is concerned about the recent developments in the local union.
Considering that Ghana has become like a beacon of hope for this game in West Africa in the past couple of years, it said that Ghana has now become a member of the Africa Rugby, has become a member of World Rugby within a very short period of time. And there's a tournament ahead in which they expect Ghana's participation. And all these things make them worry about the future of the game in Ghana. Okay? They expect that the standards are upheld. And so, yes, of course, they must be worried. yes, of course, I think about whether or not you can participate in the game.
Saku Temega Etigo also revealed to Joy Sports he has already warned the 4 persons about the consequences of their actions.
If people who really have Ghana Rugby at heart, who know very well the amount of investment that has been put into Ghana Rugby for the past couple of years to bring Ghana Rugby to this level. Before, Ghana Rugby didn't qualify for any competition anywhere, didn't play in Africa, even West Africa, anywhere. Now Ghana Rugby is playing, has won several tournaments, several laurels. You are speaking for players who refuse to accept what you are saying on their behalf. You are making all kinds of allegations, and you have no capacity or authority whatsoever to do what they're doing. You have to ask them, do they really think about Ghana Rugby?
Despite the leadership issues in Ghana Rugby, the national team are fine-tuning their preparations for this year's Rugby Africa Cup, which will come off in Kampala.
And that's it for sports. There is more at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensando. Israelai has been reminding me that Hearts of Oak are top of the Ghana Premier League table.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know because I've decided not to know.
Oh, why not?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Okay, then let me inform you.
Okay.
They're on top. Accra Hearts of Oak.
By how many points?
Well, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
That's a land guard's job.
Land guards.
Yeah.
But do you know that Accra Hearts of Oak, they are the landlords?
Well, in this instance, they are landlords. Great Olympics are the landlords. Hearts are land guards.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hans Mensando. We're taking a break. We have international news coming up shortly. Now, the Minerals Commission is undergoing a massive restructuring like it hasn't happened at the Commission in a long time. As part of government's renewed clampdown on illegal mining across mining regions of the country. As a result, officers are being moved from the current post to manage new or existing satellites and district stations effective this month of May and June 1 this year. Now, this shakeup coincides with the current Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Adai Nkwibwesiako's decision to embark on a terminal leave. One man who knows the ins and outs of the Commission is Dr. Tony Obeng. He was once the Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, and we'll be speaking with him shortly. But right there on your screen, you see the transfers and of district and regional offices, the restructuring that's taking place at the Minerals Commission. And you see them listed there. Officer Mining Duties, Koforidua Regional Office as a current office, and he's being moved to his new office in the Hohoi District Office. The date of assumption is 19th May, so that's actually passed, those last week. And then Officer Mining Duties, Koforidua Regional Office, going to Ho District Office, also from the 19th of May. There are others also moving on the 19th of May. And then we move to Assistant Officer, Satellite Office, Ward District Office, Bole Satellite, moving to the Bole Satellite Office in the Tinga area from the 1st of June. So they're listed, and the various positions, the current offices and the new offices. So joining me via Zoom now is former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obeng. Thank you very much, Dr. Obeng, making time to speak with us. Now, you have seen these changes. Are they going to make any difference at all to eventually bring the desired change?
Okay, good evening, Israel, and good evening to your viewers. They say the sweetness of the pudding lies in the eating. So we must start. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, but your line is breaking up, probably because of the internet connection. I don't know if you can get any better, and then we can continue. But please speak up. Let's see if it gets any better now. Hello, Dr. Tony Obeng.
okay.
All right, we are having challenges with the connection to Dr. Tony Obeng. We will come to him in a bit, but in another mining-related story, communities within the catchment of Extra Gold Mining Limited in the Tiwa West District have been reeling under the impact of the firm's mining operations. Residents say a number of people have died after falling into uncovered mining pits left behind by some subcontractors. 3 of such deaths have been recorded in the past 1 year at Achim Apampetia. Several water bodies at Achim Krupong, Achim Pameng, Achim Winere, and Achim and Pampetia have also been destroyed. My colleague Ohiming Teria traveled to Etiwa and he has filed this report.
Extra gold mining have been present in the Etiwa West District since 2006. It owns 5 mining leases, including the Banso and Pamin concessions. The company employed the services of subcontractors to mine in these concessions at Pamin, Apampetia, among others on contracts. Residents accuse these subcontractors of degrading lands and destroying water bodies. The Operation Hot military task force has struck twice in 1 week on one of the mining sites at Pamin. This is one of the mining sites of MPP's women organizer Kate Chemfua, situated at Achim Pami in the eastern region. In the last 1 week, this particular site has been raided twice by members of the Operation Hot Task Force. 7 excavators and 2 bulldozers have all been burnt down here. Behind me are some of them. This site, which can be compared to the size of about 200 football pitches, has had green vegetation totally destroyed and removed by mining activities. We are told this is just one of the mining concessions of Madam Kate Jemfua, which means there are several of these which we are yet to visit. Akwadro, Abresu, Teria, Aprabon, Akubonsu and Esioya and Minimpon streams all have been destroyed in Achim Apampetia, Arinare and Achim Akropon. Others are Pamin and Banso. Residents say activities of the mining firm have impacted negatively on their lives as their immediate environment and water bodies are destroyed.
Etutu amna nkataso nom ne ayino even ha no mensu metimi akase ba bi wo hɔ a na nkataso no nhyɛ den koyie aban hyehyɛ ne sɛ mo bi anko forest eno nko ade mebo minus na ba so ses cavita pesi etiwa forest mu opa me ha de me hu bi ana insusem no so even so mbe adwuma kra on divert sene ekuafo no so ebinum one day one engage with farming no mutimi enya biye na ja adwuma de senior tie no ubenya baby trenching baby won so na achia kakra.
Some of them have fallen into deep mining pits left uncovered by these miners. In Pamin, for instance, at least 3 of such deaths have been recorded since 2007. Similar cases have been recorded at Apampetia, with 25-year-old Nicholas Bokom, also known as Shatawali, being the last victim.
Esagodo amana wotu nyine gu ho God in the amana no kata so na ekọ ye ne bansfo na kata so God in the wayade wase adua no ewum na panta de wanye hwene mu ade ne nyine egina Esagodo so oji 22% ti won wa ye adwuma nipa be sese won ye adwuma bia no oji percentage ti be kata so man no wankata so no Henry Kwabrochiri mi amego faase ekotin kotobi no to nsu mu amfikyira ya oba obetwes kama Mrs. no eba no panta na Esagodo betwa 250 man besine amana no wankata so ti Esagodo de ye mpon krom abiu papa bi be metenten ba miensa na okuani kofo na medi wochi okotomo ongu enipa 3 me ho faase no ana brother baako. The
unresolved deaths and destruction to the environment has compelled the youth of Apampetia to come together to fight for the community. About 100 members of the concerned youth of Apampetia say they will resist any attempt by Extra Gold to mine in the area again. Albert Ofosu speaks for the group.
Our river bodies and our cocoa farms are all in danger due to the lack of inadequate quality work they are doing here. Though we are not safe due to the tactics the miners play when it comes to this fight. We are more than 100 and we are prepared to fight this fight because it is our last forest and in this country. That is the Tiwa forest. So we will protect the forest. We will not allow them to enter into our forest.
Meanwhile, officials of Extra Gold Mining have declined comments. Director Victor Nkansa, in a text message, said the company will not do interviews, but rather lawyers would state position in addition to initial press release. From Etiwa in the Eastern Region for Joy News, Ohim Interior reporting.
Right, so we return to the line and get to speak with the former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission on the massive restructuring that's taking place at the Minerals Commission. All right, it turns out we have lost Dr. Tony Obeng again. But moving on, the Savannah Regional Security Council has ordered the closure of the disputed grave pit, which triggered clashes between residents of Kijasa and Lusampe in the central Gonja district of the Savannah region, which led to the death of 48-year-old Idrisu Husseini and the injury of 3 others. The council, which was led by its chairman Said Muhazu Jibril, blamed the chiefs for failing to show leadership and directed the police to apprehend all the perpetrators of the clashes for the law to take its course. The Savannah Regional Minister said at Debre when he led a team of RECSEC members to assess the situation on the ground to ensure lasting peace between the two factions.
Nobody within the Debre Traditional Council or any of the 3 chiefs, sub-chiefs under the Debre Traditional Council should be allowed to win Sunday until such a time that we will take our appropriate steps to solve the problem and hand the site over to the rightful chief for his royalties. As we speak, from this afternoon, we have put in a ban on the winning of sand. And also, I've also entreated the Deborah to look at how to solve the problem in his palace, because it's a chieftaincy affair. But there's a criminal aspect of it. Somebody has lost his life. We at RESEC are going to look at the criminal aspect of it and get all the perpetrators who have carried out this heinous crime be arrested and prosecuted. So we have handed over the issue to the police, who will be handling the investigation aspect of it, and advise the RESEC accordingly.
Just a quick one. These are 3 leaders, and have they failed in showing leadership to be able to bring their followers together to avoid what happened yesterday or not?
Absolutely, absolutely. If chiefs have control over their youth, this wouldn't have happened. And I think that the whole problem is just misunderstood by a section of the youth.
Team first visited the palace of the paramount chief of Debre Wura Solwo Boresa, the bereaved family, and the injured police officer who was on admission at the Debre clinic. All right, so we return to our conversation with the former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obeng. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Tony Obeng. I believe our connection is a lot better now. So I was talking about the restructuring that's taking place at the Minerals Commission. You have seen the restructurings and the movements of the people. Are these restructuring efforts significant enough, and will they bring some result?
Well, I mean, moving stuff from one location to another must be backed by a strategy. I'm sure there will be a strategy. There will be a reason why they are being moved from one place to another, and one needs to understand that. Otherwise, just by moving people from one location to another does not in itself assure of a solution. If you recall, about 4 or 5 years ago, I think 2017, a similar thing was done, a similar exercise was done, where most of the district officers were moved from one location to another, especially because the suspicion was that they had been there for long and all that. But the results that we see now doesn't seem to suggest that that movement actually yielded any positive result. But I believe that this time around, there must be something in addition to just the movement of personnel. That's what I'm expecting, that you're not just being moved from one location to another just because you want to indicate that some action is going on, but there's a strategy to it. Otherwise, it would not be so effective. The other thing that I've seen is that the numbers have increased. I see Bole and the Bole area now have a district officer there, and many other districts. Areas where they previously didn't have officers are now having officers. So maybe it's an extension of the numbers over there. But for me, in numbers per se, personnel change per se, does not really seriously impact on the kind of problem that we see now. Because Israel, when people go to the bush to start mining, it is not because there is a Minerals Commission staff who is not doing his work. And you see, and if some Minerals Commission staff is not doing his work, then you must take the appropriate disciplinary action. So I want to have a positive view of the changes and believe that they are going to add other things, including the support, the equipment and material support for them to do their work. Otherwise, just moving people from one location to another may not necessarily lead to any significant change.
All right, so not even in situations where these people who are being moved, they probably may have been compromised, and so you're moving them so that you bring a new person, that hopefully that new person won't be that compromised. Wouldn't that help?
If they are compromised, you must take proper action. You don't transfer the person to another place for him to be compromised over there. I don't think that's the smartest thing. I believe that it is a way of renewing the system and saying that you've been there for too long, go to another place, or you've done it well over here, so go to another place to exhibit your knowledge over there. But let's recall that when this thing happened, there was a suspicion that the Minerals Commission were culprits in the whole issue of illegal mining, that they didn't do their work well. They were taken out, and they created the interministerial committee to handle the small-scale mining activities. This time around, the Minerals Commission didn't play any active role, yet the outcome is what we're seeing. So the changes must be done along other things. You must add some things to what you're doing, and you must have a strategy that we are putting you here so you can bring the following outcomes. Otherwise, just moving the people per se, and I don't believe that is the reason, the simple reason of moving people. Right. Maybe they are giving them new equipment, they're giving them new power, they are giving them freedom to work and not to be controlled by some remote system that really will not allow them to deliver on what their profession tells them to do.
Dr. Robin, you talk about adding something else to the movement. What would you suggest will be added or should be added?
First, you add the freedom to act. Second, you also, if there's a requirement for equipment and modern equipment to be able to detect whatever illegality is going on, you should do that. And then when they send reports of some illegal activities that have been detected, and in my time, there were instances where the field officers will locate illegal activities and write report, and the report will be escalated to the security services, the police and all that. And there was an instance where we received a response from, I won't mention the security sector that did that, but says, now please give us the names of those who are doing the illegal activities. I mean, how can a person who has seen a group of people, some of whom didn't look like Ghanaian, operating in an area where licenses have not been granted? This is the illegality side of it. If you're operating in an area where you don't have the license to operate, all the guy would do is to report to the law enforcement agencies for an action to be taken. If that doesn't happen, you can't blame him because, you know, you know that when they are regulating the large-scale mining sector, it is often easier because they go there, they talk to them, they are able to point to their mistakes, and then if there are sanctions that have to be applied, they're able to do that. But with this, the myriad of small-scale mining operations in this country, coupled with the political, you know, manipulations in the system, where you have people who are active in politics operating illegal mining, how can the district officer there do, you know, what can he do apart from just reporting that there's a group doing illegal mining over here? Somebody who has the power to stop them should stop them.
All right.
So I think it must be thought through very carefully, and it must be combined with a complex of things that will make a positive impact to what they want to do.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Tony Obing. Dr. Tony Obing was former Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We're bringing you more business news. To stay tuned in.
Joy News, your most
The business segment is brought to you by
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
And it's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The Alliance Life Insurance has launched a short code to help customers access any insurance services with ease. According to Chief Executive of Alliance Life Insurance, Gideon Atare, the USSD code will enable its customers have access to their claims whenever they so wish and at their own convenience. He spoke on the sidelines of the company's 3rd anniversary.
As part of its 3rd anniversary, Alliance Life Insurance has launched a short code to help customers transact business with ease. According to Chief Executive of Alliance Life Insurance, Gideon Atarere, the USSD short code is targeted at both the informal and formal sectors that are in dire need of life insurance. Mr. Atarere further explained what the short code entails to Joy Business.
Okay, it's our USSD is a short code that we just launched that will be used by customers to access our business. So before now, you have to go to a branch office, or you needed someone to talk to you, or when you are convinced, you needed someone to help you fill any form in order for you to buy insurance. But with the USSD, straightforward, on your own, right inside your house, office, anywhere, you can just dial star 1890 and you can actually buy insurance from the start to the finish. Besides that, it can help you if you want to pay premium, if you're an existing customer, or if you want to withdraw your money. And for us, that's very key, because one of the reasons why people don't buy insurance today is sometimes it's when you put your money in a bank and you want the money back, it's easy. But with insurance, you put your money, sometimes it takes some days or weeks for you to get back your money. But with the USSD, you just dial star 1890, you go to check balance, you go to withdraw, and then you can actually withdraw your money instantly.
Also, Gideon Atarere tells Joy Business the company is on course to fully digitize its operations to make insurance affordable for all.
It makes it easy and cheaper and affordable for the client. So that's another reason, beyond all the other reasons that you have, like, moving with the tide. That's where everyone is across the world now. So we move with the tide, with technology. And you see what COVID-19 did, exposing a lot of businesses who were not digitally inclined before. If all your processes were manual, if people had to come in, then that period where we had the COVID really serious, then you see some businesses grounded to a halt.
Let's now bring you a summary of international business news. And that's how we end business with me, Charles Aite.
Right, and that'll be it for the bulletin for this evening. After this, we're bringing you our Hotline documentary. Do stay tuned in.